Nintendo is not immune to cashing in on what's considered popular, and while at one point they had a surplus of third-party developers make their own versions of like Call of Duty and such for their hardware, they never really reached the numbers of Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 in terms of sales. People this day are buying their shooters on PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones, and PCs, not just because of brand loyalty, but because Nintendo doesn't really do first-party shooters. Like, I'm thinking back, and I can only recall something like Metroid Prime, but that's more of a first-person adventure rather than a shooty bang bang. FPSs were always assigned to third-party developers, which Nintendo has slowly been losing over the Wii U's lifespan.
I can't tell if it's because of all that, but last year Nintendo decided to take a shot with a brand new intellectual property. But instead of controlling soldiers, marines, or Navy SEALs, we got kids who can transform into squids. And instead of shooting live ammunition, you shoot oodles and globs of colorful ink. Really, when revealed last year, it sounded like a silly attempt at cashing in on the popular genre, but Nintendo was committed to showing this game off. At E3 2014, Nintendo hosted the Treehouse livestream where they spent hours showing off upcoming games, and they spent a lot of time on Splatoon. Earlier this year, they hosted global test fires. They were pretty much timed demos with online functionality, so people around the world could sample Splatoon. This all made for an extremely effective marketing campaign in the end. People got excited for this, and so did I.
I'm not as into shooters as I once was in the mid to late 2000s, let's put it this way. I still think Modern Warfare 2 is still one of the best shooters I ever played in my life, but that's only because I haven't played Black Ops or tried Advanced Warfare. I still dabble into, Halo every once in a while, but not as often as I used to. And I think the last FPS I really, truly got absorbed into was BioShock Infinite. Splatoon looked fun at best, harmless at worst, and as a loyal Nintendo consumer, I trusted that they can make a product that people can enjoy. Well, it's been out for a few months now, and the game has changed a bit since then, so I suppose we should start with the free updates.
When Splatoon was released in late May, it wasn't exactly exploding with content. There was a healthy selection of weapons, and single player was a distracting little 4 or 5 hour adventure, but multiplayer stage selection was laughably bare, and I think the only reason why Splatoon sellback rates didn't increase was because of the immediate promise of free downloadable content right before the game came out, meaning more weapons, more gear, more stages, all at the cost of zero, zilch, not a squid. As I'm reviewing this game a few months later, I feel it isn't important to really harp on Splatoon's release, since now it has more than double what was originally offered, so when you buy the game anytime soon, if you haven't already, all that stuff is immediately available to you. Yes, Splatoon should have came with more content from the start, but I wouldn't say day one buyers got the short end of the stick. The updates didn't cost anything, which was a really good way of making up for what wasn't there formerly. I'd be singing a different tune if, say, Splatoon was out, and then a few months later, Super Splatoon or Ultimate Super Splatoon was out with more stuff, but was being sold as a separate game. But that's not the case here. The DLC is all free.
I'm reviewing Splatoon as is. It's still $60, so let's see if it's worth it.
So this is not a very deep game. It's more of a pick up and play sort of title, one where you could spend about a half an hour, 1 hour, maybe even 2 hours on it, and then put it down to go about the rest of your day. There's a variety of different modes, but primarily the goal is to paint the town orange, blue, green, pink, a bunch of colors. It depends on what you're given before the battle starts. It's paintball brought to its logical extreme. But let's not fluff up words here. This paint can kill. Well, it can Nintendo kill. If you hit too much with the opposing color, you'll explode in a glorious fashion. And I'll tell you, if red ink were something in this game, that would be an immediate M rating. But now it's most likely pink or green, so your squad is made up of Pepto-Bismol or morning snot. There's a whole lot of different ways to spread the icky paint-like goop. You can choose rapid-fire guns, which are a personal favorite of mine because a fast firing rate can often make up my lack of super precise aiming, even with motion controls on. Yes, I play with the motion controls on. I feel more accurate with them. I think the gyro controls work just fine, and the damn right analog stick is above the face buttons on the Wii U gamepad. It's weird, and I never get used to that. You can turn off the motion controls though if you don't like them, and whether they're on or not, the right analog stick can still turn the camera left or right, so I think it's all good. Thing is, the gamepad is mandatory regardless. No Pro Controller support unless you're playing the lacking local multiplayer stuff, so if you're not keen on using the gamepad, I'm sorry but tough shit. I got big hands, so I'm cool with this. Anyway, where was I? Right, weapons. So you got classic sniper rifles, which are better for splatting rather than covering the area, so please keep that in mind. Among other types of shooting weapons, there's also things like the close-ranged rollers. These are my second personal favorites because while your range is limited, it's magnificent for area coverage, and with a good stealth game, rolling over opponents is incredibly satisfying. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of different weapons to use. Paintbrushes, paint buckets, fucking Gatling guns. It's crazy, and it can be very fun to mess around with. Your ink can also be used for reloading and fast travel. Just cover up the floors or walls with your ink and you can use your squid form to rapidly traverse through it, while simultaneously filling up your tank. This can add a layer of stealth to the mix, as opposing players won't see you approaching if you're inside your ink unless they have a special perk or something. So it's important to utilize your ink correctly to get the upper hand on unsuspecting players. Should you happen to bite the big one, you respawn at your base, where you can head back to continue your goopy massacre, or maybe cover up some areas somebody might have glanced over. If you're playing turf wars, that's what it's all about. It's not a matter of splatting your opponents, you can still do that, but it's not really the point. It's about covering the floor up in your ink as much as you possibly can. When the time runs out, the ink color with the most dominance is declared the winner, where you then gain money and experience points. The money can be used to buy weapons and gear in shops placed in the central hub, Inkopolis. Your options are limited at first, but increase as you level up. You gotta have a certain level of freshness, apparently. I wasn't aware fresh was still used as a way to describe how cool someone looks. Or maybe it still is, and I'm just remarkably out of touch.
How do you do, fellow kids?
This is where experience comes in, and it's standard practice. The more you participate in matches, the more experience you get, and eventually you level up, or freshen up, I guess. Now you can buy more stuff and show off your swiggity swag. Okay, I'll stop now. These are cool, but I have one problem with these. Randomized perks. Yes, you shooter players heard me right. Randomized perks. Now, for those not in the know, in other shooters, perks were added bonuses that you could equip to give your player added abilities, like faster reload times or maybe faster running speed. Most of the time, you were limited to around 3, but you can pick and choose to suit your playstyle. In this game, perks can range from larger ammunition, stronger weapons, or beefier defenses. Perks are chosen when you level your gear up. You hit the button to get the slot reel to stop, and what you're given is what you're stuck with. And hey, if you happen to like it, then everything works out, but if you don't like what you got, you either put up with it or spend an unhealthy amount of money to spin the reel once again. And I understand why this mechanic was incorporated, to get people to experiment with different setups so that everyone isn't rocking multiple perks of the same type, despite the game already incorporating a system where multiple perks of one type will get weaker and weaker. But ultimately, I feel that add-ons should be decided by the consumer. Let the player see how things work for themselves, and let them choose what makes them the most comfortable. Don't pull the rug from underneath them, because that shit hurts if you land on your elbows. The creators already seemed hell-bent on balancing weapon strengths and weaknesses, and I think the competitive balance is just fine as it is, but randomizing perks seem like an unnecessarily added step. Also, if I can get nitpicky here, I don't like how special abilities are locked to certain weapons. As you paint the city in Trix Yogurt, you got this special meter that fills up, and when it maxes out, you can tap into your weapon's special ability, which can be a Kraken transformation to a massive ink-covered airstrike. If you like a particular weapon but would also like a special ability you'd like to go with it, then your only hope is finding a similar weapon that has the special attack you're looking for, because they're not something you can freely choose or equip to your weapon of choice. Either way, I don't believe these quirks are something you'll take any notice in turf wars. It's more of a thing in ranked battles. Now, you can't even choose this mode unless you're at level 10, so they want to make sure you're familiar with how Splatoon works before you start building up your online rank. You can earn a lot more experience points and money in this mode, but you're pitted in different conditions, and it's not all about covering the area in ink. This sounds pretty basic, but I love tower control, where you have to get this tower to the opponent's side. It moves automatically when your team is standing on it, but you have to deal with your enemies trying to get on the tower as well. It's frantic, but extremely fun with proper teamwork. Other modes in ranked battles are something similar, but no matter what, you're shooting to kill here, and against other players who mean serious business most likely. This is where you'll really hate your teammates if you feel they're slacking off. Hey, but by all means, curse away. They won't be able to hear you. Splatoon does not have voice chat functionality. And as a shooting game made by Nintendo for the younger crowd, thank Christ. Like, I know for some, voice chat is quintessential for totally getting involved into the game. You may even make a new friend or two when you have respectable competition, but that's about as likely as Federation Force winning Game of the Century next year. Most of the time, it's rude little shits that were raised by shitty parenting, and I personally don't want to hear the things other kids or squids are saying about me and my crew, so I'm not losing sleep over this exclusion. If I want to voice chat with my friends, that's what Skype is for. The more you win in ranked battles, the higher your rank gets, but if you lose, your rank diminishes. Honestly, if you only care about using ranked mode to get bigger prizes, then the rank won't mean much to you. But if you're looking to climb the letters, it'll be painful watching your score drop. If you know your weapons and you happen to be on a stage you like, this shouldn't be a problem. But let me elaborate on that last part. You can't freely choose which stage you play in online mode. Stages are on 4-hour rotations, and the game chooses between 2 for turf wars and 2 for ranked battles. So when Callie and Marie announce the next set of stages, and they happen to be ones you don't care about, nothing can be done until the next rotation occurs. There's no voting system or anything like that. Now, I don't mind this method of keeping the game funky fresh. I do, however, think the selection should have been more than 2. And take a look here. It looks like there should be 3 stages, but this is just an empty space. But this is again limiting a player's freedom of choice. You're stuck with whatever the game picks for you, and it's not the end of the world if you don't get what you want, but it's something potentially alienating for people used to other shooters who want to give Splatoon a go. I guess to fill the time you can mess around with the game's single player content, but there's nothing too outstanding here. You help Captain Cuttlefish defeat the Octarian menace through a selection of stages, some of which are reskinned multiplayer maps. There's orange orbs to grab so that you can power your weapons up for this mode exclusively, and you can learn more about the lore of Splatoon when you find these hidden scrolls in every stage. Apparently Splatoon takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where humans are all but dead, and squids and octopuses run the lands. That's fucked up. Though not the most captivating at gameplay, the level design reminds me heavily of 3D Mario games. More galaxy than anything else, the spacey backgrounds, how you launch to the next area of the stage. There's some pretty cool ideas here, and the boss fights are damn good. But it feels like a missed opportunity that there wasn't any tie-in with Super Mario Sunshine elements, like having a flood-based weapon, or maybe a Shadow Mario skin, or an Isle Delfino stage where you spray ink everywhere because fuck Isle Delfino. My apologies. Splatoon also has amiibo support, but don't go crazy if you can't find these things in stores. The content you unlock is superfluous, cosmetic at best. And your reward most of the time is cash, which is always nice, but you can score more moolah in online mode. The only real award for using amiibos is the exclusive gear, like the school uniform for the female Inkling. This is nifty, but nothing beats a cozy t-shirt and a hat. Yeah, I'm lame, I know. But it's important to stress Splatoon is much, much better with friends to play with online. There's local multiplayer, but it's this incredibly lame target practice. You shoot balloons, that's it. There isn't even a co-op story mode or anything of the sort. Maybe in another free update, but I doubt that, and that's something that should be seriously considered for the eventual sequel. Couch multiplayer is still a thing, goddammit. We're not all connected to the Matrix just yet. There's still fucking time! There's already something enticing about the game's wacky, upbeat appearance and very easy to understand mechanics. Everything just connects together well when you have other people to play with live, preferably with an online chat going on. It's also a safe alternative for the younger crowd if parents don't want their kids playing the more hardcore shooters like Call of Duty or Battlefield. Not to put those games down, but they're rated M for mature for a reason. So if you plan on playing online with a bunch of friends, Splatoon is very much worth it. I didn't even mention how fun Splatfest can be. Unfortunately, I just missed the last one before I recorded footage for this video, but to explain real quick, it's a competition Splatoon holds every once in a while, where you choose between two things. Do you enjoy cats or are you more of a dog person? Roller coasters or water slides? Autobots or Decepticons? And that last one wasn't a joke, they actually made a deal with Hasbro to have Transformers as the subject of the last Splatfest. You pick a side and then you play online matches, and the better you do, the better your choice does until the winner is ultimately decided a couple of days later. It's a really fun form of rivalry, and I'm anxious to see what other Splatfest competitions show up later, like maybe Super Nintendo vs. Sega Genesis, or top versus bottom. Nah, I'm kidding. But if you plan on playing this by yourself, I would definitely wait for a price drop. The single player content doesn't offer much besides goofy characters and cool ideas, and competing online just isn't the same if you don't have someone to trash talk to. Isn't that right, Ted, you piece of shit? I kid, but why didn't you help me defend the fucking tower? That was Arwen. It was Arwen! So make sure you got some friends with Splatoon before you yourself get Splatoon. It could be a great time together.
And as for my next review, I'm heading back to Gotham City for Batman Arkham Knight, and I'm looking at the PlayStation 4 version because of the 60s Batman costume. I just can't help myself. But we're going to see the last game in the Arkham series is more than just added costumes for the Batman. Also, the straw poll for the next marathon is getting really interesting. Metal Gear and Mother are basically neck and neck while Star Fox sweeps in the corner. But again, this straw poll won't end until I review Super Mario Maker, so there's still plenty of time to make your choice count. And as always, thank you guys for watching, have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.
Hello there, kids and squids. If you have the time, I'd greatly appreciate it if you took a look at some of my other videos. Just click the annotations on the highlighted footage and give them a watch. Who knows, maybe I can recommend you something you never played, or make you play something bad because it's that bad. It's up to you. Either way, thank you for your time.